Hi and welcome. It's Sunday 15th of December and I have been listening through this test pressing which turned out to be great, and after that I thought to shoot this little narrative, this video which is mostly telling about a rather significant upgrade to my monitoring system which I did maybe a month ago. I had been planning of doing it for quite a few years actually, but I thought that maybe you guys would be interested in hearing more about my monitoring system, which is built by myself. Since I like to build stuff in the studio, it was also a logical step for me to build a monitoring system by myself. It's not for the faint of heart. I don't really recommend doing a critical monitoring system all alone, mostly because it's difficult to trust yourself and trust your judgment on building such a monitoring system. Are you making the monitoring system a good system for your own taste? Or does it work for you and help you in making better sounding records? It's a fine line, and it has been not a painful but a long and interesting path. And the upgrade I was fighting against doing for quite a few years was installing subwoofers. Sounds quite trivial, but my monitoring system before the subwoofers was working perfectly. My bass was translating well. I heard what was going on in the low end, not in the lowest of the lows. My frequency extension, it went down to maybe 31, 32 hertz. That was the usable range. But I catched a lot of pops from vocals and all kinds of low frequency crap. But it was always puzzling me if there was something going on in the lowest lows that I was missing. And in the end, I decided to install the subwoofers, and it was actually easier than I thought. So far, I have been very pleased. So, check it out how it went. So, here's my mastering console. Split open. It's been a totally passive design since 2011, but now that I'm incorporating a pair of subwoofers, I need a way to split the signal to both the subwoofers and the crossover of my main monitoring system. So I'm basically doing a Y-cable sort of a thing. And while the passive approach has been working well for the 30 centimeters of cable going to the crossover, it's not going to feed the subwoofers and the main monitoring right, because the cable run is going to be rather long and it's going to be a high impedance output, so that's not going to work too well. My mastering console, it's rather basic design. Here's the monitoring level, which is a 2.5K bridge T attenuator from Margent Electronics, done on a Schalco switch, really good quality switches. I have a monitor source selector. I usually just listen to the D2, which is the output of my Wise DUC2 digital to analog converter. Up till now, I didn't have a really good way of incorporating a dim switch into my system. I used to have a dim switch on my Wise DAC2 converter, but now that it's moved in the back of the rack, I have no access to it. So, when I added the circuit boards to the console, I also took out the old meter switch, which I'm not using anymore, and incorporated the dim switch over there. That's minus 15 decibels. Anyway, this thing is going to be active now. These are two dual class A output boards from KA Electronics. Basically just transistor boosted outputs, and they should do the output really well, splitting the signal to both the subwoofer and the main monitoring. I haven't tested this yet. The next thing to do is to set the bias for the line driver, then see if everything works, if we can hear it. So that's what I'm going to do next. So now that the mastering console is working well and it has good active output for driving the main monitoring and the subwoofers at the same time, it was time to install the subwoofers. This is basic stuff: measurement, room tones, test tones, pink noise, music, all kinds of listening. And it was much easier than I really thought. Out of all the measurement I have done with the speakers, it was by far the easiest part, installing the subwoofers. I didn't expect it to be like that, but it was easy. Stuff has some very tight and nice and low bass lines going on, and I think it's a good reference. I'm listening to it with no subwoofers installed. I took the cables out. It sounds familiar to me, so let's put the stops back in. Sounds pretty much the same, which is a good thing, because I'm not trying to find any kind of bass enhancement or more bass into stuff like that. I don't want it to interfere with the monitoring system. So far, I'm not hearing any extra bass. Only when something happens in the lowest lows, I hear something going on. Exactly what I wanted. Just to be sure, I'm going to pull the plugs off from the subwoofers and see how they sound like. Subs out. It doesn't sound all that different. Yeah, it really doesn't sound all that different to me. It's, without the subs, it's just a little bit less information. It's the same kind of information I get without the subs, but just a little less of it. Subs back on. just remembered I have a dim switch now installed, which I did. So that's a good thing. And so far so good. I enjoy what I'm hearing, and I think I will actually start working with this system and see how it goes from there, because my way of working has always been to trying to find out some patterns from my work. If I always tend to do something in the same way, that usually means that something is off with the system and something needs to be done. So something is not right with the system. So if I'm finding out that I always do something with the bass that I didn't do before, something is up with the subwoofers. So far so good. So far I'm actually very pleased with the upgrade. I'm getting about 7 decibels more output at 25 Hz and usable frequency response down to 19 Hz or so. And I'm not hearing any negative side effects in the monitoring system. There is a little bit of a ripple at around the crossover frequency of 40 something Hz, and I'm thinking that it can be fixed with just some slight phase adjustment, but it's not a big deal at all. So that's the next thing I'm going to do. Just a quick heads up from the work. I've been working with the new subs for maybe a little bit over a week, and it's definitely easier for me to follow what's going on in the very lowest lows. I have been catching a lot of P-pops from vocals and all kinds of strange noises that come from acoustic bass. I probably could have, and I could have solved those problems with the old monitoring system without the subs, but it's just easier for me. So far I haven't really noticed any negative side effects. So I'm enjoying it so far. I am quite sure that this is not set in stone. I'm going to do something to the system, but it's going to be very small tweaks. So the subwoofers are installed. I'm happy. I have been working with them for maybe 5 weeks now, and it's perfect. I don't hear the subwoofers unless there is something going on in the lowest lows, which is exactly what I wanted to do. Right now I have a clear head and I don't have to think about anything, any kind of improvements in my monitoring system, and I can concentrate in just doing great work. It's a nice feeling to have, being free. Thanks for watching.